Okay. Okay, before we talk about the vitamins and crap, we're gonna talk about the last bit where it's like the obesity and lifestyle and all that junk. Alright, a lot of this is common sense, so I'm not gonna explain a lot of this. Obviously, inactivity is the leading cause of obesity. No shit. Alright. Also, overeating. That also leads to obesity. They want you to know, though, that the technical term of obese isn't just someone who's fat. You have to be 20% above ideal body weight. And your ideal body weight depends on, like, your height and your age and your gender. So, they do, like, what's it called? BMI? Like, where they take your height and that. So if you're obese, it's 20% above that. If you're overweight, it's 10% above that. And underweight is considered 10% below what you should be. Right?
Where does it even say that?
Under inactivity.
Second page.
All this right here. So anorexic, a lot of people just use that word loosely, like, oh, you didn't eat today, you're anorexic. But there's, like, certain criteria. You have to have had missed 3 periods without having been on the pill. What, Mom? Did you give me back my ID?
Because I just, like, entered the name and code.
We're going to have to figure it out. Okay. So anorexics, you actually have to be less than 85% of ideal body weight, which is, like, huge if you think about it. Like, obesity is 20% over. So anorexia is 85% under. So you can imagine how skinny that is. So, like, if I were to be anorexic, I'd have to probably be like 80 pounds or something ridiculous. 3 missed
periods without the pill?
Yeah, because when you get to a certain body percent fat, then you actually stop having a period because you just don't have enough body fat to do it, and you need all that blood inside of you anyway, so you don't die. My mom is having troubles over there. Get someone to help her, please.
Stacey, you didn't even know how to make coffee.
I could sleep and eat.
Huh?
I could sleep and eat right now.
You could what?
No, I'm just really hungry and everybody's hungry.
Okay. Anyway, while we're waiting for Daisy, also anorexics, they don't think they're thin, which, the numbers always go up. Well, I don't know. So anorexics, they have the low body percent fat, don't have periods, and they think they're really skinny. Bulimics, they might actually be, no, not my face. Okay. Bulimics might actually be a normal body weight. So, who has my card? Mom. Thank you. This is my life. You can't eat, get into your house, or anything without that thing. Alright, so bulimics, they might actually be normal body weight, but the only thing that's really different is that they binge and purge at least 2 times a week. So, like, they eat a bunch of stuff, and then they just make themselves throw up. So they
binge and purge is like throwing up?
Binge means you just eat excessively. Like, you're just like, oh my gosh, eat everything in the world. I do that a lot, actually. I'm, like, having a stressful moment, and I'm like, I must eat all the things. Then purging means to throw up or to use laxatives. How this works is if you throw up, obviously it's not getting to your small intestines, so you can't absorb any of it. Or if you use laxatives, it just causes it to run through you too fast where you can't have time to absorb it. Personally, if I had to choose between diarrhea and vomiting, I don't know which one I would choose.
Choose diarrhea.
I would choose vomiting. Yeah, I probably would choose vomiting any day. Because, like, you can't control, like, diarrhea. Like, you can't go anywhere if you take a laxative. You never know when you're going to have to sit and squat. But, like, vomiting, you can just make yourself do it.
It's more normal to have to
I've never had
be
that
in a group of
diarrhea
people and just start vomiting than it is to just
Start
start
pooping.
Exactly.
So I don't know why I'm talking about this, but I'm not promoting vomiting in any way. Anyway. Okay, well, whatevs. When you actually lose weight, you're not actually losing fat cells. You're losing the size of them. So, like, you're born with a certain amount of fat cells, okay? And then when you gain weight, those cells just grow.
So the number doesn't increase?
The number doesn't change. They just get, and then when you lose weight, they just shrink. So, yeah. What else? To lose weight safely, you're only supposed to lose about half a pound to a pound a week. So if you hear like these crazy like weight loss, like lose 5 pounds in 3 days, like that's not good. And that's probably also mostly just water. You can lose like up to 10 pounds of water weight in like a day, which is really bad for you because you get really dehydrated. But it's not real weight; it's just water. I know this because I was a wrestler, and you have to make a certain weight in order to wrestle. You know, if you're 125 category, you have to be 125 pounds. If you weigh 125.1, you're excluded. So, like, people will just go run in trash bags to make themselves sweat and lose that weight. You can lose a lot of weight.
You lose and then don't you gain it back?
Oh yeah, as soon as you weigh in, you go and drink all the water and all the food that you can possibly eat. So now you're like right back up. It's retarded. It's really stupid. Anyway, moving on. So if you're going to try and lose weight and you're trying to cut back your diet, you only want to decrease your diet by 200 to 500 calories a day, depending on like how big you are. If you're a small person, probably more towards 200 calories. If you're a really big person, you could probably afford to cut back by 500. You know what I'm saying? Because like you have a lot more thing to work with. All right, what else? Exercise is also one of the things you have to do in order to lose weight. You can't just like change just your diet. You have to change diet and exercise. And they want you to know, this is interesting, that 1 pound of body fat is equivalent to 3,500 calories. So if you eat 3,500 calories a day and not exercise at all,
You're
you'll gain
gaining a pound every day?
Yeah. So, but I mean, everyone exercises somewhat because you walk to class, you have to get up. Like, it's impossible to not do any exercise. Because anything you do, even when you sleep, you burn calories because they're keeping you alive. But they're also saying if you exercise and you burn 3,500 calories, you basically lost a pound. So
That's a lot of exercise to lose 1 pound.
but if you do that continuously, like every day, that's good.
Not healthy.
Huh?
I need to
You're
do that.
losing a pound every day.
I'm not saying do a pound every day, but yeah. So let's see. BMI, how you do the ratio of like your weight to your height, it's not super accurate if you're like a super athletic person and you have a lot of muscle, because muscle weighs a lot. So your weight will look really, really high compared to like your height. So it's going to say, oh, you have a really high BMI, but it's probably mostly muscle. But if you're not like an Olympic athlete and don't have a lot of muscle, it'll be more accurate than anything else. What else? That's really all. It's kind of, common sense. This stuff is kind of easy. So let's do the vitaminas.
Is BMI like the kind where it tells you your fat percentage? Is that what BMI is?
Yeah, based off your height and weight. So that's not really extremely accurate because, like, I would have a higher BMI than someone else my height if they were skinny and, like, because they don't have muscle. You see what I'm saying? So the more muscle you have, the more inaccurate your BMI is going to be, just because muscle weighs a lot more than fat does. It's more dense, kind of like the high-density lipids and the low-density lipids. See the connection? Okay, so the vitamins are fave. Okay, so vitamin A. Which ones are fat-soluble, by the way?
ADEC.
A-D-E-K. Yep. What does that mean?
They do not dissolve it in water.
Right, they don't dissolve in water, which means that they can't be excreted in the urine because the urine is water. So they get stored in your fat, and they get stored over periods of time, so they're more likely to have toxicity, right? You can have a lot of B and C vitamins because you'll just pee it out and you won't retain it, so you're not likely to have toxic levels. Make sense? Make sense? Make sense?
Can you say it one more time because I got lost?
It gets excreted in the urine.
No, it doesn't. ADEK does not get excreted in the urine because it is fat soluble. Stop talking when I'm talking to Stacy. Vitamin A, D, E, and K get stored in the fat, so you're more likely to build up toxicity because you can't pee it out. Versus, I'm looking at you, so you be quiet. Vitamin B and C are water soluble, so they get peed out in the urine, so you're unlikely to have toxic levels. Make sense?
Only B's and C's?
Yeah. B vitamins and C vitamins. But there's like a zillion B vitamins. B1, 2, 3, 6, 9, and 12.
Water soluble. And stored where?
They're not stored, you pee them out. So that's why you can take like a zillion grams of vitamin C and you'll be fine. But if you do that with vitamin D, you'll have some problems because it'll stay in your body. Is What's His Face in nutrition? Oh, okay. All right, so vitamin A, this one has a lot to do with vision and immunity. If you think of carrots, that your mom always tells you eat your carrots because it helps you with your vision. You can remember carrots because of beta-carotene, which is the precursor to vitamin A. It helps you see better. And so the sources are in orangish vegetables. So it'll be like carrots, squash, sweet potato, that type of thing.
Oranges. I'm just kidding.
Not so much.
No.
It's vegetables, not fruits. So that would make sense. If you have a deficiency, your eyesight would be bad, right? So you'd have night blindness, and that's where like they turn the lights off, and it takes you a really long time for your eyes to adjust, longer than the average person. And then toxicity, you have too much of it, it leads to liver damage. And when your liver is damaged, that leads to your skin turning yellow, the whole jaundice thing. So that's why they say if you have too much vitamin A, your skin can change color, like to that orangey color. Because it's the jaundice that's making you have that tinted pigment. You guys are doing a lot of flipping.
I was going to the.
Oh, yeah. Alright, anyway. Vitamin D, this helps you to absorb calcium. So if you don't have enough calcium in your body, it could be because your vitamin D levels are too low. What would I just say, Andrew?
Vitamins too.
Nope.
I don't know.
Your calcium level is dependent upon vitamin D because you can't absorb calcium without vitamin D. And so if vitamin D helps you absorb calcium, that would make sense that your bones and teeth would be affected, right? So if you don't have enough vitamin D, what are your bones and teeth going to look like?
Yellow.
Weaker.
Yellow, that's fluorine.
So yeah, your bones and teeth will be weaker if you don't have enough vitamin D. And that's where you get the rickets and osteomalacia. Those are two types of bone disorders that are weak bones.
Isn't rickets with kids and osteomalacia is adults?
Yes, rickets is children, osteomalacia is adults. Now, if you have too much vitamin D, how much calcium are you absorbing? A lot. So all that extra calcium is going to be stuck in your bloodstream. And what filters your blood? Kidneys. So all the calcium is going to end up where?
Kidneys.
And cause what?
Kidney stones.
Kidney stones. So that's bad. You don't want kidney stones. Kidney stones are more painful than childbirth, so I've heard. I've never experienced
about that.
That's what my mom said.
I haven't experienced either one of those, so I don't know.
You sure?
Yes.
I'm scared.
I wish I had a child right
Me
now,
too.
actually.
Yeah, like
Huh?
my friend's having a kid.
My
Like, I
friend
feel
just
like
had
having a
kid.
kid would be like having a pet, but like more fun. You need a haircut, man.
Yeah. You see my stones?
Yeah.
They're bad.
If you ever need a haircut, I can help you.
Really? Do you cut your own hair?
I've cut my hair, cut my mom's hair, cut my roommate's hair.
I don't want to cut my
I've
hair.
cut my
'cause I
brother's
look
hair.
bad in short hair.
You don't have to have short hair.
Look at how bad this is. I have to cut like this
You
much.
don't have to cut
Just
all
get
that
one of
off.
those haircuts that's like short.
You don't have to trim all that.
Like, I wish there was someone that would go through each individual hair strand and like get all the ends out. So it
Okay.
looks
You really don't have to lose like this much. And having healthy hair that's a little bit shorter looks better than longer hair that's bad.
She says you look bad.
I'm not
I
saying.
know it does look bad. Okay,
That's how
anyways.
you know they're in love.
Anyway,
Vitamin E.
vitamin E. This is a very powerful. Shush, Andrew. You're being very unruly this video.
Yeah, and you got distracted and talked about hair. So.
For 2 seconds. How many times have you gotten?
Okay, guys, come on. We got this. We're almost done.
And vitamin E is an antioxidant, which means that it prevents oxidation inside of your body, which is good because you don't want stuff going bad inside of your body. So that prevents cancer. Now, you can get these from polyunsaturated fatty acids, so like avocados and stuff, nuts and whole grains. Deficiency is rare of these because it's in a lot of things, like nuts, whole grains, and other stuff like that. It's just very common. And it's very unlikely to have toxicity either, just because you'd have to have a whole bunch of it. Vitamin K, think K for like the K sound for clotting, clotting, coagulation, even though I know that starts with a C, but whatever. So this one helps you with your blood, so you don't bleed out and everything. Now, the sources of it, green leafies, I think kale, to keep with that K theme. You got the K, coagulation, and kale, so it's like KKK. Wow, that's bad. I shouldn't have said that. KKK.
YouTube.
Not like that. Okay. Vitamin K is also very rare to have deficiencies because you have bacteria in your intestine that produces vitamin K. When they break down stuff and they do their little metabolizing stuff in the intestines, they release vitamin K, and so you have a natural supply of it. So vitamin K technically is not essential, which is why when babies are born, they don't have bacteria in their intestines because they haven't been eating anything prior to being born because they get food from the umbilical cord. So their intestines are pretty much sterile. So doctors have to give them oral doses of vitamin K so that they'll have vitamin K because they don't have any from their bacteria until they eat and they get that bacteria build up in their intestines. You with me?
Not essential, so it has to get it.
You get it from your bacteria.
Okay.
You don't have to. I mean, you do have to eat some of it, but your body makes some of it as well.
And babies don't have bacteria when they're born?
No, because they haven't eaten anything. Their whole insides are sterile. There's no bacteria growing in them at all.
So then you have to give them bacteria so that they can produce vitamin K?
Well, you don't give them bacteria. You just give them an oral dose of vitamin K. And then once they start eating breast milk and stuff, the bacteria will start growing.
And it'll make its own.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Got it.
All right, so now we're into the B's and the C's. Oh, there's only one C vitamin, actually. These ones are the ones that you can pee out, and they're water soluble. My feet are really itching. That's really random, too. What the heck is going on? Huh? I'm going to hurt you, Andrew, and bar you from any future tutoring appointments.
I'm just trying to be fun.
I'm sorry if my feet smell.
Okay, Grace.
No, it's not that bad. We're good.
Perfect.
No, we're good.
That's very flexible.
I put my foot behind my head.
Grace!
I can do that too.
I can't.
Anyway,
I'll crack in half.
back to professionalism. Psych. All right, vitamin B1.
Wouldn't want to be one.
Okay.
That's right, because the alcoholic. Remember, drinking alcohol lowers your thiamine levels, and very, very low thiamine makes you seem like you're drunk. So it's weird like that. Also, which deficiency or which disease? Beriberi, because the B and the I look like B1. B1. Beriberi, yes. The edema. It leads to edema and nerve damage. You find these in whole grains and legumes and nuts. Pretty much every B vitamin, essentially, is found in whole grains, legumes, and nuts, except for B12. B12 is found exclusively in animal products. This is the one that vegans have problems with because they don't eat it and then their babies die.
So they...
No, it's true.
That's all.
You don't remember the story she told you in class about like the vegan family who...
Yeah, she's so okay with saying that the baby had died. She just said it, and you just said it.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry. If
Is
you're...
that why they take B12 supplements? Pregnant women have to take B12 supplements?
Yes.
Okay. I remember that.
Same thing with folate. It says folicin on your paper, but just write folate because that's what people know it as. Folate. It's also called B9, just FYI. Folate or B9.
Okay.
B9, folate, whatever, they work hand in hand with B12. They work together because they both have to do with like your nerves and your DNA. So you need both of those. Without B12, remember you can have those birth defects like the spina bifida and the anencephaly. Spina bifida was when part of your spinal nerve cord was sticking out near your tailbone and you grow like this little bubble over it. Anencephaly is when like your skull is like open to the air and you don't survive that. Babies born with anencephaly typically don't survive, but spina bifida they can live. They can usually fix it too. They can just do surgery and put it back in, but it just looks weird. All right, B2. This one causes cracks in the corners of the mouth.
I was laughing.
Remember the
Why so serious?
why so serious? Want to know how I got these scars? My vitamin B2 deficiency. Yeah. That's how I remember it, honestly. You think flavin or flavor has to do with the cracks in the mouth. These are also found in whole grains and greens. The one that's very, very generic, do you remember which one that is? Vitamin B6. So this one, literally, all it does is help your metabolism, and then if you have a deficiency, you just feel irritable and tired, which makes sense, because if you don't have energy, you're going to be tired, so it's very generic.
The B ones never stick for me.
The B1?
No, either the B vitamins, they never stick.
Oh. Well, you just have to make up those little things to remember them by. Alright, then there's vitamin B3, which is the niacin. What feels nice? Remember that niacin flush? The niacin flush is the toxicity? Where you have that, like, that... You guys are looking like you have no idea what I'm talking about.
No, I know what you're talking about.
The niacin flush, for if you have toxicity, because it feels nice.
Yeah.
Also, deficiencies of vitamin B3 leads to pellagra. Who remembers what pellagra is?
Diarrhea.
Diarrhea, death,
Dementia,
dementia, and
dehydration.
dehydration.
Yeah.
No, diarrhea, dermatitis.
Dermatitis, that's what it is.
Dementia.
Dermatitis is basically inflammation of your dermis, which is part of your skin. And the pellagra is where you have like that scaly, reddish, purplish skin. It looks really ugly. You look like a reptile. Yeah. Alright, that's pretty much it for the B's. Let's do C real quick. And I'm not gonna go, I don't know why she has all of these on here. We never really talked about this.
The minerals of the last
Vitamin C, this helps you to absorb iron. So just like vitamin D helps you absorb calcium, vitamin C helps you absorb iron. And a lack of vitamin C leads to scurvy. Do you guys remember what scurvy is?
Yes.
It's when you.
What is scurvy?
Oh, that feels good.
Scurvy is that
Not for my
when
back.
your teeth fall out.
Yes, your teeth fall out because vitamin C helps you produce collagen, C for collagen, which is like those little things that connect, like they're kind of like tendons and ligaments a little bit.
Protein.
Yeah, so like without those in your teeth, they just fall out. So that's all the vitamins. Do you want to go over the supplements as well?
No, we didn't really go over that.
Yeah, there's not really too much. What you really need to know is with sodium, is that sodium attracts water. So if you have a lot of sodium, you're gonna have a lot of water, so it's gonna raise your blood pressure. With potassium, remember the sodium potassium pump in A&P? Without potassium, you can't have muscle contractions. You're gonna have muscle weakness if you have deficiencies of either one of those. Chloride is like from your stomach acid, like hydrochloric acid, or sodium chloride, which is found in salt. So that should help you remember salt. Calcium we know has to do with bones and teeth, just like the vitamin D. Phosphorus and calcium also work together, so calcium, vitamin D, and phosphorus are all going to be very similar. They're pretty much all going to be the same sources, the same deficiencies, the same toxicities. So they all kind of do the same thing. And then iron has to do with like your blood, because you have to use iron to make hemoglobin, which is your red blood cells. So if you don't have enough iron, you have low hemoglobin, so it's going to be like anemia. And if you have too much iron, it can lead to like, I don't know.
Cancer?
Yeah, different kind of cancers, and your blood won't flow as well because it'll be too thick.
Do you know what CHD stands for?
I was looking at that. I don't know what CHD stands for. Chronic heart disease, maybe?
Makes sense.
I just made that up. I don't know if that's really good.
I think it is.
I've gotten really good at making up things for acronyms because in nursing school, all you have is acronyms all day long. So I just kind of, yeah.
That makes sense.
And then zinc. This one, I'll tell you a little story. There once was a little zebra named Zinc. And he visited this one girl who had cancer in the hospital, and he had magical powers, and so he helped her heal all of her wounds because he was a magical zebra. And so now you remember that zinc helps with wound healing. The end.
And it helps with cancer?
No, it just helps
Where
with
in
wound
the story
healing.
did you hear cancer?
The girl had cancer, you idiot.
Now there's zingers.
This is actually a real story. There's actually a real book in publication called Zinc about this zebra who visited a girl with cancer and helped her get better. So it's an actual story. So that can help you remember that zinc is good for wound healing. And they're found in fish. Maybe the zebra ate a lot of fish because that's what zebras eat, and that's why it has a good source of zinc. The end.
Okay, but
They all lived happily ever
what about
after.
renal failure? We're just gonna have to remember that one.
She probably won't ask, to be honest with you. Like, since this is just a small topic, like, I doubt she's gonna go super in depth with this.
Honestly, do you think if I just study like these sheets, like I'll be fine?
And
So don't go back and learn all the actual
Guten
deficiencies.
bye.